Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. It's great to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio and continuing this journey that we began over a year ago. Now, if you recall in previous segments of Points of Light Radio, I have fellowshipped with about 3 different members of the Royal Black Preceptories, as well as some other loyal orders. And we're going to be continuing that journey today by fellowshipping with another member of the Royal Black Preceptories. Now, I'm not going to do a full recap of the Black Preceptories or the loyal orders here because, like I said, it's been done in previous segments. Please go back and review some of those segments where I interviewed members of the loyal orders if you want a full background on them. But what I will say is the Loyal Orange Lodge and the Royal Black Preceptories are sectarian organizations. The Royal Black Preceptory was founded in Loch Gall, Northern Ireland. I appreciate a member of my audience catching that and correcting me on that. Loch Gall, Northern Ireland in 1797. Again, I appreciate the feedback I get from my audience on these things. I really do. Now, the Royal Black Preceptories has been referred to as the senior of the loyal orders. Now, in a previous segment of Points of Light Radio, I interviewed Will Wilkinson from the Knights of Malta, and he disputed that. So go back and watch that segment, right, and tell me what you think, right? But I did mention that the preceptories, there are preceptories throughout the world, mainly in English-speaking countries, and it's particularly strong in Newfoundland. And that's where my guest for this particular segment of Points of Light Radio is from. His name is Sir Knight Penney, and he's the Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution in Canada. So, without further explanation from me, let's go talk to Sir Knight Penney. But, are you still hungry for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then just trim your lamp. Oh, me. Sir Knight Penney.
This recorded.
Sir Knight Penney.
Good evening, Stan. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Welcome to Points of Light Radio.
It was my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, you are a member of the Royal Black Preceptory and Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution in Canada.
That is correct.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I'm been in the association for over 50 years, and I joined the Orange Association in March of 1972.
Wow.
So from there, I moved up then to became a past master of the primary lodge of the Orange, and then I went from that and continued on to the Royal Black, and came out of that chair as a past preceptor of the primary lodge in the Black. And then I went on, of course, to become the past provincial Grand Master of the Grand Orange Lodge of Newfoundland and Labrador. And then I continued my journey into being coming out of the chair again as a provincial Grand Master of the Grand Black Chapter of Newfoundland and Labrador, And so today I've continued my journey, and I'm right now the present Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution in Canada. I'm very proud to be that.
So, which
meeting is being
preceptory
recorded.
do you belong to?
I belong to RBP Rose of Sharon, number 216 in Charlottetown, Bonavista Bay, Newfoundland and Labrador.
So, whereabouts is that? What part of the rock is that on?
Well, we're about, my home is about 3.5 hours, no, about 2.5 hour drive from St. John's.
Okay, yeah. Now, what exactly does the Grand Master of the Royal Black Institution of Canada do?
Well, Stan, as a Grand Master of Canada, I guess I'm have to keep an eye on all things across Canada with the chapters and that. And it's my responsibility to make sure that things run smoothly. And if there's any problems, of course, myself and my committee have to get together and try and straighten these problems out. And right now we have, I think it's somewhere around 44 preceptories right across Canada, and 26 of those are in Newfoundland, of course, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Okay, and how is the orange and the preceptories as well? How are they doing in Newfoundland? Are they growing? Are they?
Well, they're growing, still growing, but there's a lot of things contributing, a lot of factors contributing to some of the lodges closing, and some of the factors are age and expense to keep your building upkeep, and it's not like it was years ago. Years ago, especially in Newfoundland, there was a lot of lodges, and a lot of the members were fishermen, and a lot of the members came from our churches. And I guess, as you know, today, churches are dwindling too. They're suffering, trying to keep going. And like I said, a lot of our members came from churches and their families, and came up through as their fathers and forefathers did. So, but we're still all in our own here. We're doing pretty good, and hopefully, we're getting some members, young members joining. But as age progresses, we're not getting the members that we'd like to get, and we're after trying a few things to try and bring members into the association. But Stan, it's like everything these days, I guess, when you look at the world the way it is. Young people, they have, that's what I find, teenagers, they have so much that they can choose from that, the lodge is not one of those things in most cases.
Yeah. Do you find, though, that the black is growing in other parts of Canada? What's your experience with that in the orange as well?
Yes, in some places in Canada now, we've had several chapters that have informed me that they got 5 and 6 members, new members going through, hoping to get the Red Cross, and that's good encouragement. And we've got a couple people there that they won't get the Red Cross this year in Newfoundland, but there's still young people coming in, and still has an interest, but not like it was one time. There's so many different things on the go that entice young people away from the lodges, that they got other things that they are dealing with and like to take part in. But myself, I mean, that's truly my passion, is the lodge. My father, he was a Red Cross man, and I guess I took my vision from him and did my journey from him, because I can remember, Stan, the night that I went to join the Orange Association. And my father, the words, I can still remember them now. He said to me, he said, "Well, Bruce," he said, "if you're going to join the Orange Association just to see what it's about, I'd advise you not to. Okay. But if you're going to join it to put something into the association, then you got my blessing." I'll always remember that. And, I've tried to do my best and be the Orangeman that I should be with my fellow men. And hopefully I've done that successfully.
Okay. Would you not agree, though, that all of these fraternal organizations, they need to be kind of presented, shall we say, to every generation a little differently? Like, you've been in a long time now. Would you not agree with that?
I agree with it. And Stan, we have tried with, I know the Orange Association have tried and spent quite a few dollars in trying to figure out ways to bring young members into the association. And yes, they got a few members, but to bring in a lot of members like we used 2 years ago, it's a big factor to try and figure out. I mean, everybody's got is saying that we got to do something, but doing something is, what are we going to do? That's the problem. We're trying to figure out ways, even in the Black now, we are trying to figure out ways to entice people to come into our organization. It's a religious organization, and some people, once they find out that the Holy Scripture is on the altar in there, that they tend to shy away. But that's the thing that we've got to try and teach those young teenagers, because like I said, when our churches years ago was your church and your lodge,
Yeah.
and that's what it was years ago, because it was a lot different than what it is now. There's so many things to avail young people out there and have them take part in. But in the Orange Association now with the churches, I mean, a lot of churches are closing. And like I said, some of our lodges are closing because, especially with this COVID too, that didn't help us, of course, because some of our lodges, the only way they operate and keep going is they put off functions once a week or once every month to have income coming in to help to keep their building up to par. And other lodges are just trusting to dues alone. And the members are, on the average of 60 to 80,
Wow.
are bulk of our members. So that really makes it hard for those members to try and do functions and keep their lodges going.
So what first of all drew you to the Orange Lodge? Now, you said your father was in it, but what made you want to join that?
Well, in Charlottetown, where I'm from, is not a big community. And every year they'd have their annual parade, and I see my father dressing up, putting his suit of clothes on, putting his tie on, and putting that sash on. And that sash was like $1 million to me when I looked at it. I said, hopefully one day I can wear the sash my father wore. And my father's been gone now for quite some time, but Stan, I still have his sash. And the last time we had a session out in my home, I sang the song, The Sash My Father Wore, and I put his sash on. And that sash was made by a lady in Charlottetown, embroidered every emblem on that sash.
Wow.
And that's worth a lot to me. And in the parades, then, I mean, when they had their parades in Charlottetown, people used to say, because we were kids, now don't go and walk in front of the Orangemen, because, of course, you could lose your head. But as time went on and I got in the organization, I found out that it was a wonderful organization, and it's based on the Bible. Every degree you do is from the Holy Scripture, and it teaches you respect and for your fellow man, and the fellowship that I found in this association is second to none. The friends you meet, the friends you make, and the friends you go and see every year at the session is wonderful.
And the Black, I suppose, was just a continuation of, as you say, of that journey. You just felt it was a way
Exactly.
of experience. Yeah.
Exactly, Stan. The Orange, of course, 4 degrees, and that's just to get you familiar with the lodge, I call it. But the Black, that was when I took that Red Cross. I'll tell you now, there was no prouder Orangeman or Black than myself when I took that degree. It's a wonderful degree. It entails every degree in the association.
Now, do you feel that there's a difference between the preceptories in Canada and the UK, or even in the rest of Canada?
Yeah, and now I think in the UK there is a difference, especially when it comes to your guidelines and your rules and regulations. Some of ours are better than theirs, and some of theirs are better than ours. But we're just getting into that side of the country in the last year or so, and we're trying to, I think, combine everything so that we are all following the same path. And hopefully, with the meetings that we have coming up in the future, that we may come to an understanding and find that hopefully the path that we follow together.
Okay. Now, it's been said that the Royal Black Preceptory is probably the most reverent of the loyal orders. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely agree with it.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. What do you find? How do you figure it's more?
Well, it's like I said with the orange is to me it's the orange is just an introduction to the association. But when then you get into the black and you start going up through your different degrees, the scriptures and everything, everything is taken from the holy word, and you can feel that, get that feeling as you go through each degree. And I'll tell you, if anyone has never gone through those degrees, and if they go and take the raw black and go do the 11 degrees, it's a feeling that is job to relate.
Okay.
Really a wonderful feeling.
Now you talk about 11 degrees. Do you go through one every time, or do you put them through 2 or 3 degrees together as they move forward?
Well, normally you go through one at a time, but in some cases when you're trying to get some candidates up to Good Friday to take the Red Cross, of course, we can get a permission from the Grand Master, dispensation from the Grand Master to do those degrees if we want to do a couple of degrees, or 3 or 4 degrees if we can do them stand within a couple of months or so, just to get the candidate ready for Good Friday.
Okay. All right. And would you agree that the loyal orders in North America need to be maybe a little more visible?
I think it should, yes. I mean, there's not enough recognition, as far as I'm concerned, for this association. And we can blame it on the media, or we can, I think a lot of it is our own factor in doing that. We don't have anybody that really puts a big lot of input into putting our name out there. We do a lot of donations. The Orange Association does a lot of donations and goodwill to throughout Canada. And each individual chapter, got their own thing that they donate to. And but sometimes we do a lot of donations. Sometimes we don't get the recognition, as far as I'm concerned, that we deserve. Not that we want it, but I mean, to get, we're sort of, you don't see us in the limelight like some of the other organizations. And then again, Stan, I guess some of that is our own to blame.
Mm-hmm.
But we learn as we go.
How could you make yourself more visible?
Well, I guess we the best way to do that, as far as I'm concerned, is to appoint a committee that can do this and talk to the media out there and try and get our names out when we are trying to do a donation or a function, or supporting some like we do the Janeway, the Children's Janeway Foundation, and things like that. We need to get someone to be able to go out and do that. But right now, we do not have that in place.
Okay. And would you not agree, though, maybe your social media presence is another thing that I do notice? For instance, the Masons tend to be all over Twitter. But
yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's another place I think would be probably great to raise the profile, shall we say.
Stan, we're starting to get into that now, I think, in like on Facebook, and we got trying to put our own post up there now, and some of the lodges have their own post up where anything going on. Of course, you go into their their post and look at what functions they have going on and what's going on in their community and what their lodge is doing. And so a lot of it, their own chapters are doing that themselves. But we're trying to get something organized now where everybody can go into the same posts and see what's going on all across.
Okay. Now, you mentioned what membership in the Loyal Orders has done for you. What do you think it could do for those who are looking, investigating it, looking at joining?
Well, we can, the way I look at that, you can, I guess you'd have to have a public discussion, at a meeting hall, invite the public to come in and we do have some public coming in sometimes to some of our meetings.
Yeah.
Especially when, like myself, when I went through and got my collar. I mean, we had some people come in there, like the LOBA came in, and my wife, and so many more. It was open to the public. You can have open installation, so then they can see, what actually goes on in most cases.
Yeah.
They can see that the Bible is open there, and they can see the way we conduct our meetings, and our installations, and we put the word out, and sometimes you'll get a nice crowd there, and some more times you won't. But when it comes again, Stan, when it comes to teenagers, I don't know what we have to do to get them interested. But we certainly have to try something, and that's what we're hoping. We've been working on that this last couple of years, and hopefully soon we can get some way, shape, or form to get teenagers involved. Because if the teenagers don't get involved, when all of us, the seniors, are gone, then our lodge is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And we certainly don't want that to happen.
Well, Sir Knight Penney, I really appreciate your time today. All the best to you and the Black Preceptories.
Well, Stan, I appreciate you talking to me, and have a Merry Christmas and a happy and joyous New Year.
Same to you, sir. Bye-bye. Sir Knight Penney, brothers and sisters. Wonderful discussing the Loyal Orders again. I'm also proud to once again feature a Canadian. This is wonderful, right? And some takeaways personally. The Loyal Orders ran in Sir Knight Penney's family, right? I love the advice he got from his father, which was just, just not to join, but to give something back to it. And I've discussed this numerous times here on Points of Light Radio, is that you get out of fraternalism what you put into it. And it looks like Sir Knight Penney has really thrived and been able to give so much back to the Loyal Orders, right? I love how he's discussing, and the ongoing question we have here on Points of Light Radio, there's been a few suggestions made, but how to keep it relevant in these times, right? It's not just enough to keep falling back on our history. That's an important set point, but to look to the future. How do we adapt and present this type of organization to each and every generation? And we'll definitely be taking a further look at the Loyal Orders. The one organization that I want to look at still is the Apprentice Boys. If you know anybody in there, if you're an apprentice boy and or someone in it, please get in touch with me, because I'd love to cover the Apprentice Boys here on Points of Light Radio. Unfortunately, some members I've tried to contact have rolled out the not welcome mat for me on that one. But please, if you are in the Apprentice Boys or you know someone in it, get in contact with me. I won't ask you to talk out of school or anything like that. It doesn't hurt to put in an appearance here. I also want to apologize to my guest and to my audience here. This was a segment I covered, or this particular interview I covered I did late last year. I apologize for not bringing it to you until now. Had some issues late last year. We're beyond that. We're continuing the journey, as I keep saying. But that's all I have time for today. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio here on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. You can see the link to my Twitter handle and my Spotify channel, as well as some other information in the details section of this podcast. But brothers and sisters, I hate to part with you, but until we meet again, just step into the light.